Yes, ma'am.
After January 6th, you said Donald Trump bears some responsibility for the attack on the Capitol. If he's found criminally responsible, will he respect the results?
He's not. I don't see how he could be found criminally responsible. He
Why?
did not charge it. Well, what criminal activity did he do? He told people to be peaceful. I just find this, if this is what you asked me about when we have a hearing going on where we have 3 committees in a hearing, where you have 2 IRS whistleblowers. Have you watched any of that hearing?
Yes.
Do you think those whistleblowers are credible? Do you think those IRS agents that have committed themselves to work for the IRS agents, that have risked their own attacks to come forward, they are credible individuals? Would you believe that? Have you heard what they have said? That here we have the Biden Inc. family being treated different than the entire country. That when these IRS agents went to an FBI agent, that they were going to come to interview Hunter Biden. How was he treated? He was treated different than every other American. He was warned ahead of time so they wouldn't be there. The FBI told them. You know where else they went? They told the inaugural committee. Why would they reach out to the inaugural committee? That's just the Biden individuals planning for an inaugural. Why would they reach out and tell his attorneys of a location the attorneys don't even know of Hunter Biden's own documents? So he could be there before. But today, when I listened to this hearing that had oversight, had judiciary, and had ways and means, we now find out not just how it's treated, but more than 20 shell companies were created, not when Vice President Biden had left office, but when Vice President Biden became vice president. Then we found out 16 of the 17 payments from Romania paid through shell companies to the Bidens took place while he was vice president. I wanted to raise that because I don't hear anybody asking those questions when I know the rest of America is wondering what's going on here. Yes, go right ahead.
Chairman Comer says he's going to have a memoranda about the Romanian payments. We'll probably have more questions after we see that specific part. But one thing Democrats have been bringing up today is they say there's no direct link between these whistleblowers and wrongdoing by Joe Biden. So I want to ask you, do you think there is that link? And also, where do you think the problem is here? Are you alleging that there is misconduct by the Department of Justice, by Merrick Garland, by the FBI, by the IRS?
Well, the first thing, we don't have all the information. We just now have the IRS agents come to us. And as these very credible individuals who have now found in their job got stymied by the FBI, and now questions in the meetings that they were, what they were told by David Weiss and what they were heard from Garland. Somebody is lying. So we need to get to the bottom of that.
Or just remembering correctly is something Democrats have said. There's a difference between
Oh, so if Democrats said that, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting, yeah. Oh, a misunderstanding. So let me understand what a misunderstanding would be. Would a misunderstanding to you be where David Weiss tells in a meeting with these individuals and 5 others that he asked for a special prosecutor to be that, and he was denied, that they wanted to prosecute in 2 other districts, but they were told no. Garland publicly says he can have anything he wants. If he wants to prosecute, we'll be able to do that. But is it a misunderstanding if someone just said that? But what's interesting with this is the IRS agents took notes of the meetings. Because it would be a misunderstanding if someone just said that and you passed by and that was the end of it. But the IRS agent asked David Weiss to read the question because of what he said he thought was so important. And it retold that, no, I was denied being a special prosecutor. And then the notes were taken back. A question asked again, notes were taken back and sent to everybody in the meeting. So it's very hard to me, of all the meetings I've been in, if someone says one thing to me, it's very important. So I ask, did I hear it right? And you come back with the exact same thing. I take notes about it and I send it to all of you. So I go back to you. Do you think that's a misunderstanding? In your meetings, when you talk to me, you take notes, right? Are you recording me right now? But this is, right? Okay. So if that's like a note, would that be a misunderstanding? And if you ask me another question because I answered a certain way to reaffirm what I answered, it would really check all the boxes away for any misunderstanding. I could understand if it's muffled and it's on a phone call and it gets caught away, that it's some phone call. Maybe if I had a phone call from one country to another, and that could be a misunderstanding. But when we talk to one another and I re-asked the question and I took the notes from the meeting and I sent you the notes and everybody agreed, what seems to me odd is why didn't David Weiss and why doesn't Garland come forward so quickly when now it seems that there's a whole different question that somebody's lying. And I will tell you this, we will get to the bottom. And if somebody's lying, that rises to the place of an impeachment inquiry. Your second question was to bring an impeachment inquiry against Garland. I don't do anything for a political purpose. What I'm telling you is, and I think you would all agree, you can disagree if you like, but do you not have a question, because you're all reporters, you deal with information. Weiss has said one thing in a meeting with 6 people, who 2 whistleblowers have come forward out of the threat to their own life, no political basis. One has to be, I don't know if one's a Republican or not, I know one's a Democrat. They took notes from a meeting. They reaffirmed what they had heard. They wanted to move forward and they watched the Justice Department and the FBI work against them. They thought it wasn't fair. They have done this job many times before. They don't see equal justice, and their ability to come forward is through the ways and means. Garland has told Congress and the American people something different. So I would think, given all that information, you are just as inquisitive as I am. Who's lying in this conversation? The role of Congress, especially from a legislative purpose, is to have an investigation. Is there something we need to change legislatively? If we find that there is lies going on, that would rise to an impeachment inquiry, where we would be, as a Congress, stronger empowered to get all the answers. And yes, I would move to impeachment inquiry if I found that the Attorney General has not only lied to the Congress and Senate, but to America.
Did former President Trump voice frustration in the call with you about the target letter? Did you provide any guidance to him about how House Republicans would respond?
Wouldn't you feel frustrated? Wouldn't you feel frustrated if you get a target letter? Let's just put it in perspective, because none of you have ever gotten back to the hearing that's going on right now with 2 whistleblowers. In this hearing, let me put some of the points out if you weren't able to cover it, if you're just covering the photo shoot. Some of the Burisma is an energy company in Ukraine that had on its board Hunter Biden, who Hunter Biden admitted he only got the position for political purposes. Did he not say that in an interview? I might not be quoted exactly, but that's what he said. The money didn't come directly to him. He sent it to a partner. The partner told him he has to do something different for tax purposes. He got his Porsche paid for. He got a diamond. The IRS found that was some of the most egregious, that if any American had done this, they would be in real trouble. The slow arm of the Justice Department, for some reason, took 6 years. Most Americans would be very excited by that, because what happens after 6 years? The statute of limitation runs out. And if you listen to these IRS agents, those are the ones that he'd have to be prosecuted on. If you listen to Americans who have to pay taxes, if you listen to the president who says he wants to end these tax loopholes, are these the loopholes he's talking about? That his son got away with hundreds of thousands of dollars and isn't going to be prosecuted because the Justice Department treated the Biden family one way and now found a new way to go after their political opponent and President Trump? I don't think it's just President Trump who would be frustrated. I think Americans would be frustrated, because as I go across the country, that is what I'm hearing. I hear from people who said, you know what? I never voted for President Trump, but I'm going to vote for him now based upon how he's getting treated. Because if they can treat him that way, they can do that to any American. And that is what they believe has to stop. That you need equal justice. Yes, sir.
Last question.
Do you support the efforts of some of your members to defund the office of Jack Smith?
of Jack Smith. Look, I haven't gotten into that. I just want to make sure that we have some equal justice as we go through. I found it very interesting. Who's from CNN? They had breaking news yesterday. You know what the breaking news was? They covered it. Jack Smith went to Subway. That was breaking news. I would hope CNN would have their cameras on the hearings today and listening to 2 IRS agents who are telling you a story that don't have a political bias, that simply represent the country. And they have found what has happened is so egregious that they would come forward in their own expense to go to the American public because what they were denied to be able to do their job for one simple reason. The person's last name was Biden. And let me ask you and all of America this question. I've had my own business. Many Americans have their own business. When they have their own business, they produce something. And when they produce something, they have a name to that business. They usually just have one. They don't create a shell company to be paid. When someone pays them, they pay directly to the business and they get the product they make. Apparently, the product the Biden family was selling was influence. While the president was vice president, 16 of the 17 payments from Romania were paid. The vice president at that time had a lot to do with what was happening in Romania. Hunter Biden didn't even pay taxes on this influence. It went from one shell company to another, down to 9 different family members. When the President Biden was running for office, he told the American public in October that their family got no money from China. He can't say that now. It's proven, based upon these investigations, that they did get money from China. He said he had no dealings with the family business. We now have proof he went to meetings. It just raises more and more questions. The question I have for all of you, when are you going to ask me a question about it? When are you going to follow what we're finding? Do you not find that disturbing? If 2 IRS whistleblowers came forward, do you not find it disturbing that 16 of the 17 payments were paid while he was vice president? Do you not find it concerning what product do they produce? If they're specializing in foreign countries, why are all the countries, China, Romania, Ukraine? Why wouldn't the other foreign countries like France or Ireland or Germany hire them as well? Why would you have to have 20 shell companies when your father and brother is vice president? Why would you allow the Department of Justice to have the statute of limitations run out, but be so fast in their indictments of your political opponents? Take your politics away. Put your reporter badge on. And as the lady across the way that has a blindfold on and a scale of equal justice, shouldn't you raise that question too? Thank you. Have a good day.